Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at an ancient text that asks one of the most uncomfortable questions in human history. Honestly, it's a question that still hits hard. Does what you believe actually matter if it doesn't change what you do? We're going to examine the second chapter of the book of James. And whether you approach this as theology, philosophy, or just really sharp social commentary, it functions as a masterful argument about the relationship between what we say we believe and what we actually do. It essentially takes this highly abstract concept, faith, and forces it right into the physical world.
Right out of the gate, the text throws down the gauntlet with this incredible Socratic question. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? It's directly challenging you to consider the practical, tangible value of an internal belief that totally lacks external action. Think about it. If your belief stays locked inside your head and never moves your hands or your feet, what is the profit? Can that kind of faith actually save anyone? It's a brilliant hook that demands an immediate answer.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. We're going to look at the trap of favoritism, the royal law, the core idea that faith needs action, the surprising truth that devils believe, and finally, history's proof.
Section 1. The trap of favoritism. Grounding faith in a social reality. So before talking about high-minded theology, the text brings us into a local assembly, just a normal room of gathered people, and sets up this stark, hypocritical contrast. Imagine two people walking through the doors. The first is a guy flashing a gold ring, dressed to the nines in gorgeous, expensive clothes. The second is a poor man in what the text calls vile raiment, basically dirty, worn-out clothing. The author points out the completely superficial way humans tend to react. We immediately tell the rich man, hey, sit here in a good place, while we look at the poor man and say, stand over there, or worse, sit on the floor under my footstool. The text argues that doing this makes you partial in yourselves and turns you into judges of evil thoughts. You claim to hold the faith of the Lord of glory, but your immediate physical actions, well, they're just showing shallow discrimination.
And here's where it gets deeply, almost tragically ironic. First, the text argues that God has historically chosen the poor of this world to be rich in faith and heirs to the kingdom. Yet, here the assembly is openly despising them. Meanwhile, those wealthy individuals that everyone is fawning over, the text explicitly reminds the audience that these are the very people who oppress them, drag them into courts, and literally blaspheme their beliefs. It's like, why are you offering the best seat in the house to your societal oppressor while stepping on the very person who shares your spiritual inheritance? It's an absolutely massive critique of social climbing within a community of faith.
Section 2. The royal law, the legal and ethical standard.
So the crucial point is that the text defines this standard as the royal law. It draws directly from older scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The text states quite simply that if you fulfill this law, you're doing well. But, and this is a big but, if you have respect to persons, meaning if you show that shallow favoritism we just talked about, you commit sin and are convicted by the law as a transgressor. You aren't just making some minor social faux pas. You are actually breaking the highest ethical mandate of the community.
James sets an incredibly strict standard here. The text reads, "For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all." The author explains that the exact same lawgiver who said, "Do not commit adultery," also said, "Do not kill." It's like a giant pane of glass. If you shatter it in one tiny corner by showing favoritism to a rich man, the whole pane is broken. You are just as much a transgressor as if you committed a seemingly larger crime. You really have to speak and act as people who will be judged by this exact standard, because judgment will be merciless to those who show no mercy.
Section 3. Faith without action is dead. The core philosophical argument.
The text brings us another incredibly vivid, real-world scenario to highlight the core absurdity of belief without action. Just imagine a brother or sister who is naked and completely destitute, with absolutely no daily food. And one of you walks up to this freezing, starving person and says, "Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled." You offer them pleasant, religious-sounding words, but you purposefully give them absolutely nothing to survive. The text asks, what doth it profit? The answer? Absolutely nothing. Good vibes simply don't put a coat on their back or food in their stomach. From that starving brother analogy, the text draws its primary, unshakable conclusion. Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. The author is arguing that faith is absolutely not a solitary thing. It cannot exist in a vacuum. If a stated belief doesn't have a corresponding physical action in the real world, it lacks a pulse. It is entirely, literally, lifeless.
Section 4. The devils also believe, a shocking juxtaposition.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this absolute mic drop moment in the text. An imaginary opponent says, "Hey, I have faith and you have works." And the author just shoots back, "Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works." Then comes the ultimate punchline. You believe there is one God? Great, you do well. But guess what? The devils also believe and tremble. The text argues that a baseline intellectual belief in God is nothing special. Even demons have that. In fact, the demons might even have a stronger reaction because they actually tremble. Pure intellectual assent without any action puts you on the exact same theological footing as a demon.
The author follows up this striking point with a direct, intense rhetorical challenge. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? It's a demand for the reader, referred to here as a vain or empty man, to wake up. It's a plea to finally recognize the total uselessness of divorcing what you think in your head from what you actually do with your hands.
Section 5. Proof through historical examples. Abraham and Rahab.
And this brilliantly illustrates the final part of the argument. To prove all this, the author uses two vastly different historical figures from ancient scripture. On one side, you have Abraham, the revered patriarch and father of the faith. On the other side, you have Rahab, a harlot, essentially an outsider on the absolute margins of society. Yet, according to the text, both demonstrated their internal belief through extreme tangible works. Abraham offered his son Isaac upon the altar. Rahab received foreign messengers and literally risked her life to sneak them out another way. Two entirely different people in two entirely different situations, but both were justified not just by what they felt inside, but by what they physically did.
Looking specifically at Abraham, the text asks, "Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect?" The big argument here is that faith and works are not opposing forces at all. They operate together. The faith fueled the action, sure, but it was actually through the completion of the action itself that the person's faith was justified and made perfect. The scripture saying Abraham believed God was fulfilled precisely because he acted on it, which earned him the title, Friend of God. The text concludes super clearly here. A person is justified by works and not by faith alone.
Let's move to and see how this builds to the author's final striking biological analogy. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. Think about it. A human body lying on a table is just a corpse unless there is a living, breathing spirit animating it. In the exact same way, faith is just a corpse unless it is animated by physical action. One simply cannot survive without the other. Which brings us to the ultimate so what of this text. The author isn't just writing ancient history for the fun of it. This is a mirror being held up directly to the reader. So as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a question to reflect on, drawn straight from the logic we've just unpacked. When you look at your own life, do your daily physical actions actually reflect your stated internal beliefs? Or, much like the person telling a starving man to just stay warm, are they just empty words? Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive. I hope this provided a clear, structured way to understand this incredible text. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.